Good evening, guys, and welcome to another episode of ARCA Racing Podcast NASCAR Backmarker News. I'm your host, Colby Evans, and we have a fun show tonight. We have a lot of new ARCA news to go over, which I'm so happy about. Obviously, the ARCA silly season takes a little bit longer to announce because with these kinds of teams, it kind of takes them a lot longer to finalize their plans, and, they want to make sure it's set in stone before they even start any rumors. So before we get into that, though, follow me. I'm your boy at Start and Parker. Follow our good friends, ARCA Racing, and follow my bottom boy, Brad Smith, on Twitter. All the links are down in the description. Anyway, let's get right into the news. We'll start with the NASCAR portion, and then we'll get into ARCA second. The big news for the NASCAR today was Alpha Prime Racing. You guys might know the formerly Tommy Joe Martin's motorsports team. Obviously, we went over a couple episodes ago. Team was forming into Alpha Prime Racing with multiple drivers. But they also kind of always hinted that they might start a part-time team. Well, a couple days ago, we found out what number it was going to be, 45. I kind of guessed that when they had first announced the part-time team, but it would have been also kind of nice if they would have went with 76, the original Martin's Motorsports number from 2014. But they just went with the easy answer, which was 45. But luckily, that gives us a good line of throwbacks, and I think you guys can agree with me. The one throwback I want to see that 45 car do at Darlington is the Adam Petty Spree throwback that he ran. It was either the Adam Petty Spree throwback or the Kyle Petty Sprint throwback. Either one of those. So that's the reason we have a 45 team. But they announced it is going full-time in 2022. And with drivers like Sage Karam apparently driving the car, which was very weird. But seeing as how the 31 car was kind of the car that had a lot of people driving it, it's weird that now that's kind of been moved to the 45 car. If you guys get where I'm going at, But I think it's good that Alpha Prime Racing is definitely starting a second team. Definitely curious to see how Sage Karam will do, especially if this car doesn't have any owner points. We'll definitely get to see Sage's real talent in trying to get this car in the show. This is another full-time entry. And keep in mind, we're still only starting 36 Xfinity cars. It really might be back in the days of the late 2000s where we had, 6 to 8 cars a race missing the show. And it's going to be interesting to see. I agree, Josh. I agree in the comments section. They might have to buy owner points, but the question is, at this point, if you are a team for 2022 and you have good owner points for Daytona, why would you risk selling that? I mean, let's not forget, TJM and the 44 team showed up in 2020 yet, right? 2020? Yeah, 2020. And they DNQ'd Daytona. It doesn't matter how competitive your car is. Daytona single car speeds, you can miss the race by 1,000th of a second. And that I really believe that rumor I heard on Reddit. You guys might have seen it a couple days ago. Don't always believe the rumors you hear on Reddit, obviously, but the rumor I read was that we might get 50 Xfinity cars. Now, will we get exactly 50? Probably not. But will we get close to 50? Would not shock me. And even though Alpha Prime is probably a great team, you got to beat 14 to 15 cars to lock in. And who knows if the speed is even there. So I'm glad to see that they're definitely moving to 2 full-time teams. It's great to see this part-time team now get upgraded to a full-time team. I can't wait to see who else they're going to get to drive the car. But definitely very risky as we have a lot of new teams coming into the sport. And with all the DNQs we're going to see at Daytona, that first DNQ could really, really hurt them. And it's going to be amazing to see this Xfinity Series this season with the average of 6 to 7 cars a race going home. I mean, you could have a car who makes the race, DNQs the next 5. It could literally go like that. But nonetheless, really happy for Alpha Prime Racing. I wish them nothing but the best of luck. Obviously, we'll be following them on backmarker battles. Hopefully, they can get their top 20 Xfinity bonus and get that top 30 10K bonus. But very happy for TJM. Very happy for all my friends over there. And I really hope that they maximize the best of 2022. But obviously, Mech and Daytona has got to be that first priority. Now, they said that Sage was going to do about 12 to 16 races. Can anyone – I read the article, but I don't remember. Did it say that Sage was driving Daytona? I don't remember seeing that in the article. But if anyone could correct me in the comments, is Sage attempting Daytona in the 45? Or did they not say yet? I'm not for sure. But the 44 will obviously have the 44 from last year's owner points. But is there owner points available for the 45 to buy? The 23 owner points from Hour were, I believe, sold to another team, but I can't remember that on the spot. But it's going to be very crucial for that car to make the race. Because, Daytona, missing Daytona can set you back, $40,000, $50,000, maybe even more than that. So we'll just have to see. But again, hopefully Alpha Prime can make the best out of 2022. And obviously, we're seeing from where we didn't want Tommy Joe to retire from full-time racing, but you compare to when the TJM announced that he was going to be stepping away from full-time to now. From a business standpoint, it's clear that Tommy Joe has made the right decision. I love the guy. I wish he was still going full-time, but from a business standpoint, Alpha Prime Racing is exactly where they need to be right now, and I really hope they can maximize and get the best results they can get for 2022. Moving into our next NASCAR backmarker story, not really a backmarker story type deal, but it may involve said driver driving for a backmarker type team. It was announced today that Ryan Preece will be sort of like a backseat driver or a backup driver. For Stuart Haas this year, but we're not really going to focus on that. The other part I wanted to focus on is they say he will do about 12. Bob Pocker reported about 12 to 16 races. This is the part I wanted to focus on for Preece. 7 truck races, 4 Xfinity races, and a couple of Cup races. Now, obviously, he won't be driving a Stuart Haas Cup car. And with the next-gen car, it really doesn't open up any opportunity to bring out an open car because the profit is just not there. There's no sponsorship, and the profit is not there. So you look at the Stuart Haas affiliated cars. Live Fast and Rick Ware would easily be the best options. I'm pointing more towards Rick Ware because we did see them work together at last year's Roval race with Joey Hand. So more than likely, we will see Ryan Preece in the Rick Ware entry, and that will really show us, I believe, when we see Ryan driving the Rick Ware entry, really just how competitive the Rick Ware entry would be under the next-gen car type package. As for Xfinity, from what I've seen on Twitter, I could see it. BJ McLeod not really announcing the third car for BJ McLeod Motorsports in Xfinity. Not right now announced a full-time driver. I could see, like what they did with Kevin Harvick last year, I could see them putting Ryan in that car, but it's actually a Stuart Haas car fielded under BJ McLeod Motorsports, because what that would do is that would guarantee Ryan a spot in the race. He wouldn't have to race a car with no owner points and have to worry about making the show, even though he probably wouldn't have a problem making the show anyway. As for the truck team, it might be a DGR affiliate, because if it's under Ford, that really doesn't leave you many options for the truck series. I could see it being under the DGR affiliated team. And again, I think all are good rides, but I have really seen the comparisons this year to the Alex Bowman type deal from 2016 to 17. Now, will this work out the same? Hard to tell right now. But obviously, me and a lot of other people are big Ryan Preece fans. He's a very nice guy, and I hope he makes the most out of these opportunities this year and really shows his talent. Because I remember when everyone was so excited that he got the ride at JTG, I wasn't. I was not a fan of him going to JTG. Why? Because I knew that ride sucked. With all due respect, I love Brad Doherty. I've met him in the garage a couple times. His team is mid-pack to 15th at best. Every now and then they can squeak out that top 10, top 5 finish, but at best, top 15 to top 25 team. So I was not really excited for him to go there, and the results showed. I mean, you look at his stint in the 47, then the 37 for 2 years. Results mediocre at best, which also along with the package, I just don't think Priest's true driving talents were able to be shown. But this is, I would say, his definitely make or break year. I think it is smart. If I could have one more comment about the backup driver, it's very smart because, obviously we're still in the middle of this pandemic. If, stuff or the S hits the fan for a Stewart-Haas driver, whether it be from Cup, whether it be from Xfinity, boom, right there. You got Ryan Preece to do the fill-in. Whether it happens to one of the 4 Cup guys, or I'm assuming this also counts for Riley Herbst in Xfinity, you can just right there, Ryan Preece into the car. He knows the setups. He knows the cars. It worked perfectly. But definitely happy for Ryan Preece. Definitely deserves this. But we'll see. Can he capitalize this just like Alex Bowman? Only time will tell. And so that's very exciting news there. One thing I also wanted to get to, also one more little shout out is it really wasn't announced. You kind of have to follow their Twitter to be announced. But for anyone who remembers the 77 team from last year's Xfinity, the Ronnie Bassett or the Bassett Racing team from Dylan and Ronnie Bassett, they didn't make Daytona. They were planning on going the whole season. But just like Jordan Anderson's team, they missed the first race and had to sit out the first 10. They then made that race at Coda, but then they DNQ'd the next one at Charlotte, and then they just kept DNQing, and they had no owner points to try to keep going, and pretty much just focused on 2022 then and there. But Bassett Racing's Twitter account did tweet out that they are going to be at Daytona. Not sure with which Bassett, more than likely Ronnie, I would say. But again, that's just even another entry for Daytona. Now, is the 77 full-time this year? Again, that would come down to sponsorship and probably if they make the first race. If they make the first race, they might try to go the full season. If they don't make the race, obviously they will reschedule back to a part-time schedule. But it's good to see that the 77 team will hopefully get more of a fair shot than they did last year because they were part of those cars who had no choice but to sit out for 10 races just because NASCAR didn't have qualifying. So I guess we'll get into the ARCA news now. Really happy that we have more ARCA news coming back because, like I said in the beginning, kind of takes a little bit longer for the news to come out. We'll start off with the first one that I tweeted out a couple days ago. ARCA Daytona Testing. NASCAR may have abandoned theirs for a couple of years, but they're bringing it back with the next-gen car. But ARCA, every single year, they've been bringing back Daytona Testing, and the entry list has not come out yet for the first round of entries. I would expect the usual same, probably around 30 to 35 cars on the entry list for Daytona Testing with around 40 to 45 drivers. Again, you have a lot of drivers in this race who will not be in the ARCA Daytona race and are simply just doing this to get approved. Like if you do the Daytona ARCA test, you can get approved for tracks like Charlotte, tracks like Michigan. And that's why a lot of guys do the Daytona test. Also, I've even seen some reports, some guys do the Daytona test just so they can do Daytona. And I don't blame you right there. I ran into a couple of people who have literally done the Daytona test just so they can run a race car around Daytona. I don't blame you. I do the exact same thing if I had that kind of money, but I don't. expect probably Andy Hillenberg usually brings about 3 to 4 cars. Maybe not that many this year, but definitely Andy will be there with a couple of cars. Venturini will probably be there with 4 cars. Brad, I still believe, is going to be there. Don't think Wayne is going to be there. Supposedly, Mark Christie, one of the ARCA reporters, said that that Wayne was going to be at Daytona with 2 to 3 cars. Not really sure where he heard that. I love Mark, but Wayne, I believe, only still has 1 car, and that's the white Chevrolet. I know they'll be there with that car, and Con will be driving again, but I think that's the only plate car or composite ARCA car that Wayne owns. Maybe he owns the black Ford from Kansas, but that car got pretty beat up in that race. It might need a new side. But the report came in that Wayne might bring 2 to 3 cars, but we'll get to that more a little later. But nonetheless, ARCA Daytona Testing is coming up. As of course, if you guys want to check it out, I'm pulling it up right now. And again, I think this is something I wish NASCAR would do more of, especially since they own ARCA. But for any fans who, are interested in reading rule books or testing rules, ARCA, and this is what I love about the series, and they've been doing this forever. This is nothing new. You can go to the competitor site. You'll go to arcaracing.com, scroll to the very bottom, and you can see competitor site. Click on that, and it'll take you to a whole list of competitor-based stuff for ARCA. If you want to look at entry blanks, if you want to look at the rule book, it's really fun. It opens up ARCA to the eyes of the fans. Now, obviously, with the next-gen package, you can't release that kind of information to the public. That is understood. I completely understand that. But for the Xfinity cars, why don't you do that? That's just me nitpicking, but I think it would definitely be a lot more fun for the fans, and especially for young kids, to be able to look at, ooh, hey, look at that, entry blank. And kids can do that, can print out the entry blank and fill it out themselves. I did that when I was young. But no, I think the Daytona test is definitely, it's one thing I always look forward to every year with ARCA. Obviously, I think NASCAR is doing one this Tuesday with the next-gen car, which fans will be allowed for. Hate that I can't go, unfortunately. In fact, fun part is that Brad asked me if I could go to Daytona testing or actual Daytona as well, and unfortunately, I had to decline because being out here in the Midwest in Iowa, it's not an easy trip down to Daytona, and it's hard to take that kind of time off from work just to go to a test rather than an actual race. Right now, there's not much. The entry blank has not really been released yet, but they got the bulletin up, the testing policy. Hopefully Taylor Gray doesn't do another Snapchat video filming himself going down the back straightaway again. I think we all remember that. But yeah, that was pretty funny. Nonetheless, though, it's one of the fun things I look forward to, Daytona testing. Forget NASCAR testing. We got ARCA testing. Yeah. Oh, but yeah. Moving on to our next round of ARCA news. I'm sorry, I cracked myself up. This one I'm really happy for because they ran part-time, but they ran quite a few races in 2022. The Rette Jones Racing team had Max Gutierrez last season. Did win that race at New Smyrna, but other than that, really kind of had an uneventful rest of the season. Didn't run all that well. And I'm really happy to see that they're welcoming a new driver. And it's good to have some new woman blood in the ARCA series. Now, obviously, she's been there for a while with a couple of starts. But Amber Balkin will race full-time this season in the number 30. Her sponsorship from the BMR Drivers Academy. Hi, Moff. Her sponsorship from the BMR Drivers Academy, Icon Vehicle Dynamics, will sponsor the entire year. And, I think it's a good fit for her because it's not, I wouldn't call Rette Jones a winning ride. You're not going to see that 30 car go up there and beat the powerhouses of Venturini and especially Gibbs. You're not going to see that. But I think in terms of her still being a rookie, she's got she ran all those races. Now, granted, they were 3-car races for the BMR Drivers Academy. It's experience behind the wheel. She competed in a few ARCA races herself. Not the best results, but still results nonetheless. I think this is a good fit for her. I think this is a good fit for Amber. Will she crash? Probably. I mean, she has crashed before, but I think Amber will do a good job. It's another full-time ARCA car, and I think that's what I'm most happy about. We need new blood. We need new drivers, and it's going to be fun having another full-time lady in the sport. And Amber, and I hope Mark Rette and the team do very well in 2022. She will be at Daytona testing because she does have to get cleared. But, yeah, she will be running the entire season. And I also believe they are running the West Race season finale, not the main ARCA Series season finale, the West season finale this November. So I think it's a 21 race schedule for the 30 team. I don't believe they'll be at any East races at all. I think Amber will get a top 5. Muff, I think Amber will get a top 5 points finish too. Because I think there's only going to be probably 5 or 6 full-time drivers. We'll get to that too in a second. But we'll get down the order here. But, yeah, so she'll bring full-time sponsorship from her BMR sponsor. If you guys are curious what the car looks like, look it up online and then just imagine that car with the number 30. You'll kind of get the mindset of what the car is going to look like. It'll be red and white, but either way, it'll be good. Hey, Moff, I mean, I agree. Sanchez or Dye might win the championship, but I'll just say this. With how good the Joe Gibbs equipment is in ARCA, he's going to have to miss 4 races due to age. It would not shock me, even if he misses 4 races, that Sammy Smith still comes close and might even win the ARCA championship. It's possible, even though he's missing 4 races. It's possible, but it's going to be fun to see all those young kids legit battling it out and not having to just run second to Ty Gibbs. And if I could go into that just for one quick second, for all the ranting and raving that people had about Ty Gibbs' 2021 season, look, the ARCA Ilmore engine, from what I heard in the garage here, you had to send it in and get it fixed. I think it costed, $20,000 or $30,000 to get the engine replaced or fixed. And a lot of teams just couldn't afford that. But with the amount of money that Joe Gibbs Racing had, they were able to get that engine fixed, I don't know, whenever they wanted. They had a fresh car every single week. And I think it also part is it's Ty Gibbs' talent. You mix all those factors together, Ty Gibbs is unstoppable. Ty Gibbs is unstoppable. You got Cup guys working on that car at the shop, and you probably got some Xfinity backup crew members working on that car at the track. It's no surprise the 18 won most of the races. The fact that Venturini was able to keep up with them as long as they did in 2021 is actually a miracle in a lot of ways. So, for everyone trashing last year's season with Ty, I mean, you know what? Fine. Was it a little boring seeing him win? Yes. Yes, it was. But when you had the best driver, with the best equipment, with the freshest motor, what do you expect? With Sammy Smith now in the 18, we'll really get to see it'll really show just how good Ty was. Because we did see in those combination races last year when Sammy was driving the 81, he was not as strong as Ty. He was strong, but he showed that he could have been beaten. Next story. I really need transitions into these stories. Next story. So far, no news. Does anyone have any news so far regarding the Brett Holmes racing team? It was really shocking to see them not show up to Kansas in the season finale, and we really haven't heard much. Are they going full-time truck racing? Are they still going part-time in each series? Thank you in the chat, Steve Austin. Going for CCM Racing, Eric Caudell's team. By the way, subscribe to their YouTube channel. CCM Racing did a shop tour YouTube channel. They will bring a car with 4 drivers, it looks like, so that's cool. But moving on, has anyone heard anything from the Brett Holmes Racing team? Because, I love Brett. I've been him at the track multiple times. I even got one of his fenders hanging in my living room. But if you hear my dog barking. But I hope Brett's okay. I hope the team's doing okay. And I look forward to what they're going to do in 2022. Moving on to our next story. I do agree, Moff. Eric, despite him getting up there in age, Eric will be 55 this year. Eric Caudell, by the way, if you guys didn't know. Eric is 54, 55. But he usually brings a good car to Daytona or Talladega, so I agree. I think Eric, definitely a dark horse if he just stays in the right draft. Moving on to our next topic. And this will actually tie into 2 subjects. Jesse Love, the reigning 2-time ARCA Menard Series West champion, will not be returning to Bill McAnally Racing this season to drive the number 16 car. He will not. Rookie Austin Herzog, and I hope I did not botch that name. I really hope I didn't. But Austin Herzog will be driving the 16 full-time next season. We'll definitely say this. If you're Austin, you got a lot of weight. With all due respect, you got a lot of weight on your shoulders, buddy. That 16 won a lot of races and 2 championships in the past 2 years. So no pressure on you, Austin. No pressure whatsoever. You just have to repeat 2 championships. No pressure. But definitely wish him the best of luck. He's just 19 years old. He did make one start in the West Series, actually getting an 8th place finish at Kern County in 2018 with another team. They actually met during the BMR Drivers Academy testing. I don't think he actually ran any races, but he did test a couple of Bill McAnally cars. So for everyone who said that the Bill McAnally Drivers Academy was a joke, it really wasn't. Yeah, people could not afford to race, but it didn't mean that they couldn't test a couple of cars. So yeah, definitely the best of luck to them. Will he do as good as Jesse did? Well, we'll just have to find out at the first West race, which I believe is the combination race at Phoenix. But definitely the best of luck. The paint scheme won't change, by the way. It'll be the same looking 16 car from the previous season, just with a new nameplate and all that. So, but definitely good news for Bill McAnally. They are still expected to have 2 to 3 full-time teams. I think the 19 is scheduled to go full-time again with different drivers. The one, I believe Joe Lynn is running a couple of races this year part-time again. I think she'll come back again. I wish she could get more of a fair chance than she did last year. But I'm really excited for the West Series as a whole, and it'll be a lot more fun. And I do believe my man PJ Pedroncelli, is definitely coming back this season, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But good luck to Austin. I think it's a good choice. And it'll actually tie in to Jesse Love with our next subject, that Jesse Love, we did see that he did run a lot of races for Venturini last year, including winning that thrilling race at Salem last year. And I'll admit, Jesse Love, outside of that race at DuQuoin, really did a good job, because from what I saw from pictures, it actually looked like that Jesse was running the exact same car every race, that they were just taking off the number decal and slapping on either a 25 or a 15. But I think Jesse really did a good job last year, because obviously the 15 or 25 car did not have as much effort put into it as the 20, because the 20 was obviously fighting for the championship. But so sorry guys, if you hear my dog barking, she's throwing a fit upstairs. But back to Jesse Love. Really did a good job last year, and it is announced he will do 14 races this season in the 20 car. Now, unfortunately, I would assume that this would have been a full-time deal, but Jesse is only, believe this or not, I think Jesse's 16 years old? Boy, do I feel old. And I'm 20. I'm 20 years old sitting here talking to you guys, and there's a 16-year-old going out there and racing ARCA. Like, I feel old, and I'm 20. But I think it's mainly because of his age, because Corey is going to do the 6 races, but looking at the schedule, it's the 6 races that Jesse would not be approved to race, like Daytona, Talladega, Kansas, Charlotte, Michigan, the tracks that obviously Jesse would not be old enough to compete at. So now, I believe he can do the Daytona test, because if Taylor Gray can do the Daytona test at 16, then I believe so can Jesse. So I believe Jesse will be doing the Daytona test. But unfortunately, has to settle for just 14 races. It's the exact same situation pretty much that Sammy Smith is in, sadly. And that's why, you got to hate the fact that these kids are coming in so young that the dang age thing to run the big tracks is killing them. Poor Jesse's got to wait another year. I think, another year before he'll be officially old enough to drive full time in the series. Yes, Josh, pretty much anyone, I believe, age 16 and up can do the ARCA test, but you have to be 18 to actually race at the big tracks. Would not shock me also, speaking of one more thing on Daytona testing, some truck drivers, rookie truck drivers, young kids, they could also do the Daytona ARCA race and test to get approved as well. Sir Rauchstein, we did go over that earlier. I don't think Wayne, and I guess we can we'll get into Wayne's subject in a little bit. We'll focus a little bit more on Jesse Love right now. So again, the 14 races, like I said, though, the 6 races that Corey Heim will be running, again, are the 6 races that, unfortunately, Jesse cannot run due to his age. So, sadly, age always has to get in the way, Our next story is basically a full thing here for Venturini. Jonathan Schaefer. With all due respect, never heard of this kid. I'm sorry. I mean, there's so many young kids out there these days. I have no idea who Jonathan Schaefer is. He's probably a lovely, lovely guy. And he's 16 years old. Again, I'm 20. And they're 16 racing for Venturini. I feel so old. And I'm just 20. But that's, I just feel old. And I'm only 20. Oh, well. But Jonathan Schaefer signs for part-time in the ARCA series. The number was not announced, but he will be doing a couple of races at my home track at Iowa, Lucas Oil Raceway, Bristol, Salem, and the East race at Dover. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races, looks like, for Jonathan Schaefer in 2022. The number has not been announced yet. But good luck to him. Obviously, Venturini is a top-tier team. I think with Gibbs out of the picture, Ty Gibbs, not the Gibbs team, but Ty Gibbs out of the picture, Venturini is going to definitely probably win more races this season. And, yeah, so good luck to Jonathan Schaefer. And more than likely, a number will be announced just before his first race. Kyle Keller. Now, this was kind of cool. My buddy TobyChristie.com posted this. Now, before we get into the story, they released an image of the car, and I think you guys saw it. It was a number 12 with a very familiar paint scheme on it. And I think It's pretty obvious. There's no way they can justify this. It is the exact paint scheme from Jimmy Johnson's Lowe's car. I believe 2017. It is an exact copy. And I think it looks amazing. Probably one of the best looking ARCA cars that we've seen in years. This car looks awesome. I wish I could pull an image of it on the screen right now. But go to TobyChristie.com, type in Kyle Keller. This car is beautiful. It's got an amazing black color with white in the middle, and then it's got orange stripes. It just looks amazing. But Kyle Keller will go full-time in the West action. Another West team. It's great to see the West Series thriving so much, more than the main series. The West Series is thriving so much. It's great to see another new team going there full-time. Wish Kyle the best. Definitely, though, going to be a voter for Paint Scheme of the Year for ARCA. A dead ringer. And I believe also if you look at the font of that number, that easily looks like the Hendrick font. So, oh, that is great. That is just awesome. Yeah. Moving down our list. Another, I believe this was from my buddy Mark Christie. I want to believe this at the same time, but I also don't, because I could see Todd doing a couple of races right now supposedly from a DGR representative. Taylor Gray in the 17 car is the only car expected right now to be run for DGR Racing, David Gilliland Racing in 2022, which would be part-time in the main ARCA series, which would be the Sioux Chief Showdown, the full East season, and I believe the West finale at Phoenix, which is around 18 races. So I don't want to believe that, because I could see maybe at an ARCA race at like Charlotte or Talladega, they might run an extra car for Todd Gilliland like they've done in the past, but only we'll just have to see if that goes. But I hope that's not the case. Obviously we all love David Gilliland's involvement in ARCA, but obviously with Thad being kicked to the curb and Joey East not returning, it looks like we really are only getting one DGR car for 2022, but I hope that changes, and obviously only time will tell. But right now, that's what it's looking like. Another report is that Venturini will kind of do the same thing they did this year. 3 full-time teams. The 15, 20, and 25 will go full-time. It looks like that the 25 will actually be the full-time driver car. I haven't heard anything. I haven't not heard anything on Joey East yet. I just assume that DGR is not running that team, and Joey might just run his West team. That's what I'm assuming, Sir Ralkstein, but I'm not for sure. But going back to Venturini, 3 full-time cars, 15, 20, 25, and then, of course, the part-time 55 car, which will probably run only about 5 races this season. We've seen multiple driver announcements for the 15. We've seen the driver lineup for the 20. But when are we going to get the driver lineup for the 25? And will it be a single driver? Will Venturini even have a driver going after the championship this year? You might not. Venturini might not have a full-time driver. Only time will tell. I do agree that one of the candidates could be Gracie Trotter, but does she have the funding to fill up a 20-race season? Right now, especially from last season, I don't think she does. I hope she can, because it'd be great to see 2 women going after full-time, going after the championship. It'd be great to see 2 full-time women going along. But yeah, again, only time will tell. Only time will tell. And obviously the 55 will only be brought out for probably races like Daytona, Talladega, and probably the finale, and of course the West race at Phoenix. But that's probably the plans for Venturini. Excuse me, guys. Probably the plans for Venturini this season. You did see him a couple of times last year. More Venturini news. Connor Jones. Connor Jones will be driving. A lot of Venturini news here, guys. Will be driving for Venturini. He drove the 42 for the Bruce Cook team last year. I also have his crashed fender from Iowa sitting in my living room because I was there with Brad. But yeah, he'll drive. I think it's only 2 to 3 races, so not a big schedule for him and Venturini. 15, Jesus, man, like it's hard enough talking about a 15-year-old now. And I'm 20. Again, I cannot stress this enough, guys. I'm 20 years old. And there's a 15-year-old going to drive for Venturini. I feel so old. And I'm 20. Oh, this joke keeps getting better. It's going to get better every single year as these ARCA kids get younger and younger and younger. Sir Relks, I feel your pain, Sir Relkstein. He's 16. He's 15, and we're older. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry if that joke's getting annoying. I'm sorry, but it's just but yeah, he'll be driving at Iowa again. And Salem looks like just 2 races for him this season. Obviously, Venturini takes a lot of sponsorship and money to race for a team like that. Hopefully Connor does a better job at Iowa than he did the last time, as he crashed out. It wasn't his fault, but he still crashed out early. But hopefully Connor does a better job at the Iowa race. Look forward to seeing him again. And again, good luck to him and that team. Oh, Steve Austin, yeah, you're 55. We feel your pain too, but we feel it. That's not even my heart. This is my heart. We feel it. Moving on to our next story. Again, more Venturini news. Venturini, lots of Venturini news, guys. This is the Venturini Motorsports episode. I hope I don't botch this name. Landon Pembleton. I think I pronounced that correctly. Landon Pembleton will join Venturini again for this season on another part-time schedule. Looks like he will compete in 4 ARCA races under the Venturini development program. Will be piloting the car at Elko, Milwaukee, Toledo, and of course the Fall West event at Phoenix. I think he did win the late model race at Martinsville. Basically the Daytona 500 for late model racing. That's not the Snowball Derby. It's that big race at Martinsville, the Valley West Star 300. I think that's the name of it. I think he won that race, so he's clearly talented. That's one of the biggest late model races in the country outside of the Snowball Derby. So, again, good luck to them. Again, good luck to Venturini. It sounds like all the drivers I have mentioned so far will be driving the 15. The only one that I'm a little confused about now is it said that Connor Jones would drive Iowa, but I think they said that one of the other drivers, Jonathan Schaefer, might run Iowa. So does that mean that we would see the 55 at Iowa, or is that the first announcement for the 25 car? Again, we'll just have to see. With Venturini, we won't know what car they're driving probably till the season actually starts. Some news regarding Sunrise Ford. Apparently, from what I heard, Trevor Huddleston is not returning to the 6th this season for Sunrise Ford Racing after, let's say, he did. He costed his team the championship. He costed his teammate the championship. Now, was it intentional? No. It was basically, I think he thought the race was over, let Jesse Love by, and that was the point that he needed to win the championship. But from what I heard, Trevor Huddleston, despite being a very wealthy family, will not return. Obviously, like I just said, wealthy family. He will be in a ride this season. Where? We don't know yet. As for his teammate, Jake Drew will return to Sunrise Ford this year. Not know which number. He might be in the number 6 this year. He could stay in the number 9. We don't know that yet. But definitely, I think redemption year for Jake Drew. Hope he can. I will say he definitely got screwed. He did what he had to do to win the championship. But yeah, so they did say he'll be in the 6. Okay, so I guess he will be in the 6. Which the one thing I do love about Sunrise is that their 6 and then the 9 is literally the 6 turned upside down. Like that's being so easy. A little bit more news here regarding East. Sorry, excuse me, guys. Haven't really heard a lot of news out of the East Series. So far, the only announced full-time entries for the East Series is the 17 of Taylor Gray, the 22 entry for Steve Austin, and the 74 team for Visconti. But right now, they don't have a driver. Mason Diaz will not be returning to the team, but they still hope plans to run full-time in 2022. Now, who could drive for that team? Because this is a winning team. For East Series, this is a winning team. Who could drive for it? No clue. Would I love to see Brandon McReynolds come back from, because I think he's still a spotter right now. Would I love to see former driver Brandon McReynolds come back? Absolutely. But probably be another young kid that's younger than us. But only time will tell there. It does make me a little scared for the East Series this year. You know, they're standalone events, only brought in. Didn't Giovanni? Well, people are saying that Giovanni's returning. Wasn't he supposed to run full time last year? But then that got canceled like after 3 races. Again, I'm not sure about all that, but I'm a little concerned for the East Series. The combination events are good, but we saw last year they only brought in like 13 cars for their single events. I mean, they had to call Wayne to show up there, knowing he was only going to run a lap. I mean, we had 2 or 3 straight races. It was COVID that ruined his run. Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. But going back to the ARCA East Series, you know, if you take out the 10 start and park entry for Andy Hillenberg and Wayne, we would have only had 11 cars. Now, again, we did see ARCA West run with just 11 cars, but with only 7 races, and the likelihood is that we'll barely get to 10 cars because, you know, they're going to have Andy probably show up with a couple of cars. They're probably going to call Wayne to show up and make a lap or 2 to get the car in the field. Might even call Brad to have Brad run a couple of ARCA races. The only standalone East race I could see doing well would be the Dover race because that is its own race. It pays very well, actually, for ARCA standards. And I could see that race being the best one next year. But again, it does make me a little concerned. As for his driving, who's Visconti, again, no clue, but hopefully the team will return full-time, as they say they will this season. I have seen on ARCA Reddit that Wayne will be running 2 to 3 cars at Daytona. You know, again, right now, I just don't believe that. Because I know Wayne's got the white Chevrolet that Khan will be driving, but the only other car I see him having right now is that black Ford from Kansas, and that car got a little beat up in that race. Zach, unfortunately, had minor contact with the wall, but still scuffed it up a little. The only other car I could see, because Wayne Peterson has an alliance with Richmond Racing, and depending on the condition of Tim, we haven't really gotten any updates from Tim Richmond. By the way, shout out to Tim Richmond. I hope you're doing well, bud. We love you. You're awesome. David, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope the family's doing well. Melrose, I hope all you guys had a great Christmas. We'll see you at the track this year. But Tim's foot healed? Now, obviously, that incident happened back in the summer of last year. That post happened in the back of last year. So is Tim ready to come back? I hope he is, because remember, DGR did give them one of their old Chevrolets. Not Chevrolets, I'm sorry, Toyotas. And will that be the second car that Wayne will bring to Daytona? I could see that being the case. But I really hope that Tim returns full-time this season. But unfortunately, his injuries and obviously his other full-time job, time will tell. But anyway, Tim, on behalf of everyone, get well soon, bud. We're all pulling for you. We all love you. So, again, get well soon. David, Melrose, everyone else in the Richmond family, take care. But yeah, again, with that Peterson rumor, I think take that with a grain of salt because Wayne only has, I believe, the 2 cars, the black Ford and the white Chevrolet that are ready to go. And I don't think that black Ford is really ready for a plate race unless they gave it a new body. The white Chevrolet obviously is ready for a plate race. That white Chevrolet, man, you talk about a workhorse. I want to mention this real quick. That white Chevrolet, guys, that ran at Daytona, Talladega, and then a quarter-mile short track, a dirt track, and I think even did it run on a road course last year? I don't know. But that white Chevrolet is a damn workhorse for Peterson Motorsports. And by the way, if anyone, what am I trying to say here? If anyone is wondering, Wayne is expected to still drive this season. Yes, 83 years old. Wayne Peterson still maybe we'll do a start and park then and there, and I hope he does. And by the way, I would like to give a shout out. I am looking to do a Wayne Peterson documentary this year. I just wanted to give that in there. And if you guys have not seen it yet, check out it's my new video series I'm doing with a friend of mine, Chassis Story Time with Start and Park Car. That's me. Where we basically tell the stories of, famous chassis. Like, for instance, our first episode was on chassis B053, a former winning RCR chassis that was given to Wayne Peterson by his friend Richard Childress. So go check that out. It's on the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. But again, I don't really believe that rumor that Wayne will bring in 2 to 3 cars unless Richmond Racing has something to go on with that. No, Wayne is not running a full race. At his age, Wayne can barely move. I love Wayne so much, but the poor guy does not move that well. He's starting to get up there in age. Also, Wayne, I believe as like a safety concern, ARCA won't let Wayne run more than a couple laps. Again, that's just the stories I've always been at the track, whenever I worked for Wayne. And I mean, it's just Wayne. He doesn't really care. I think Wayne, Wayne's the best. Like, if I can just go off here for a second, the people that crap about Wayne Peterson, shut up. Shut up. For all the people who joke about that team, shut up. Because that guy works his ass off so much. If you guys could see his race shop, oh man, you guys, that is a real race shop. Wayne works his ass off. His equipment may be not the best, but damn it, the heart that guy puts into ARCA, if you don't respect that, you're not a racing fan. Just going to put that out there. Caleb Watkins in the chat, if you're wondering what happened to Bobby Gerhart, I believe he had a heart attack. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and that was pretty much the end of it, sadly. He kind of called it quits on a career, which is a shame because we all loved seeing that Lucas Oil Chevrolet number 5 car running around Daytona and Talladega. Right now, again, for ARCA, in 2022, our full-time drivers in the main ARCA series that have been announced, we have the 48 of Brad Smith. We have the 43 of Daniel Dye, the 2 Rev Racing cars, which, by the way, even though they did run Chevrolets last year, they didn't actually get Chevrolet support. But this year, they are. So expect both of the Rev Racing entries to be a lot more competitive. Sorry, excuse me there. The 2 of Nick Sanchez, the 6 of Raja Caruth, the 30 of Amber Balkan, the 18 of Sammy Smith, and I'll even lump in the 20 of Jesse Love. Because, again, those guys are supposed to be full-time, are not because of age. So it looks like right now, full-time drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but technically 7 because the other 2 are not there because of age. But the cars will be full-time. Again, we'll just have to see there later. Obviously, and don't worry, guys. I know what you guys are thinking. Andy Jankowiak is returning for Daytona. No one needs to worry. The pizza man is back. Nobody has to worry about that. Our boy Andy, the pizza guy, will be back. No one got to worry about that. As for my picks for Daytona, first off, I do predict we'll get about a 34, 35 car field. There's been a lot of, ever since we've come out of COVID, or starting to come out of COVID, I mean, ARCA fields have gone up. My pick for Daytona, I think it's just because they have so many in the field. My pick is Venturini. It's either Venturini or whoever they put in that 18 car. That's my pick for Daytona. I would say, which Venturini guy would I pick? I mean, maybe it'd be Corey Heim again. I think that 20 cars won the last couple of races there. But it'll be interesting to see, of course. You know, ARCA doesn't have the best plate package, but don't slide on that race. Obviously, I would also say this. He might be in his mid-60s. Do not count out Dave Mader. I know that team sounded like they were shutting down, but I believe Jeff Spraker's team is still going for Dave Mader this year. I believe so. I'm not sure about that. I see someone in the chat. Greg Van Alst, again, the plan is to try to go full-time if the sponsorship is there. That's that team. Empire Racing, we mentioned that on the New Year's stream. That team has shut down. Kind of an end of an era. You know, they were around for a long, long time. Scott Reeves, I see in the chat too. He was in the 88 last year. That car had a hard crash into the wall. Have not seen any updates. I think that was Scott's only car. And boy, that thing was pretty beat up. I'm not sure if Scott's going to be back. I hope he is. But I'm not for sure that Scott's going to be back. You know, Stephen Robert, will Sammy Smith still win the title, missing 4 races? It's going to definitely be close. It's going to be close. And I think that's actually going to be one of the funniest stories to watch this season. Can a guy missing 4 races with the best equipment still win the championship? That's going to be a fun story to tell this season. I would say Sir Welkstein, Sammy will be on the test list. Sammy Smith, I believe, is 17, 18 years old. He's 17, so I believe he will be on the test list. I believe JGR will probably be at the test with Ty Gibbs, just to get him some more laps around Daytona. Would not shock me if maybe some of the other Joe Gibbs development drivers or KBM truck drivers go there to them too. Oh, God. Oh, you were talking about Scott? I don't think Scott Reeves will be on the test list. If he's gonna show up, we won't know until the Daytona entry list does come out. Yes, Josh Allington, yes, he will be 18 in June, but unfortunately he will have to miss 4 races, obviously. But definitely going to be a very big season for ARCA in 2022. A lot of other backmarker news for NASCAR. Obviously, we got many, many more announcements to come. Venturini, like I said, they've been kind of going full bore this week with their announcements. Probably expect more tomorrow. Oh my God, I forgot a NASCAR one that I was going to talk about. Jesus. So we're going to quickly switch back over to NASCAR if you guys don't mind. He provided quite a bit of controversy last season with some of his cryptic tweets, but Matt Benedetto will drive full-time for Rackley War, the 25 truck team in 2022. For anyone who doesn't know, that's Willie Allen's truck team. And he'll be driving full-time. I don't know why I forgot to mention that earlier in the show and during the NASCAR segment. Well, I guess I'll mention that here and I'll give my thoughts. I was never a guy who fully canceled Matt Benedetto. Obviously, he was tweeting like a complete dumbass. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, but sorry, excuse me for the language, but he really was. He was tweeting like a complete dummy. But yeah, I'm sorry, excuse my language there, but he really was. He was. Ran his mouth, expected to get a ride, couldn't, didn't want to take a lower tier ride. And well, here we are, and Benedetto's taking a lower tier ride. Now, is it a lower tier ride in the Truck Series? No. Rackley War isn't exactly. It's hard to decipher the team. Are they a top tier team? Not sure. Have they shown glimpses of running top 10 and top 5? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do hope Matt does well. I want a redemption story. Because I never, unlike everyone else though, I never gave up on Matt. I didn't want to give up on Matt. But I really kind of hope he does a good job, mainly because I'm a big Willie Allen fan. Yeah, I know, Sir Relkstein, a lot of people lost respect for Matt Benedetto after the Phoenix incident. And I kind of did too. I mean, I did, but I didn't want to fully give up on him, mainly because I've been a fan of his since 2010. So, you know, I mean, when I've been a fan that long, I might lose respect, but I'm not going to stop being a fan. But nonetheless, this is Willie Allen's team. I'm a big fan of Willie Allen. So I guess in a way, I have to root for Matt because I want the 25 team. I want Willie Allen's team to run well. And I'll just put it at that. So I think it's a good partnership. I think it's definitely going to be someone to watch out for. And I really think it's going to test Matt Benedetto's talent because this is a team that runs top 15, top 10, but not for wins. Can Matt Benedetto show his talent and get this team up to a winning team? Only time will tell. But I almost forgot to put that in there. Yeah, Sir Relkstein, I mean, Brittany Zamora in the 25 truck would have been fun, but I don't think she has the funding for that truck, unfortunately, yet. But obviously, like I said, I hope Matt does well. I know, I agree. Yeah, Brittany Zamora winning that late model race, that definitely gained a lot of headlines, and that was very welcoming to see. But, yeah. Any more NASCAR news? Any more NASCAR news you guys got in the chats? I got not much here. We'll kind of take some questions from the chat right now. If anyone's got any questions real quick before we get out of here. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, they could run a second truck. They could run a second truck for part-time drivers, which would probably be the 27. The Atlanta repave, we saw glimpses of it. It's weird seeing a 1.5 mile track with 30-something degree banking. That's ridiculous. You know, mini Dega, as they're calling it. With Sammy Smith missing 4 races, do you think it'd be the first winless ARCA champ? I think he's definitely going to win races. I think you mean, is he going to be the first ARCA champ to not run the whole season? Possibly. Sage Karam driving for Alpha Prime Racing half the season. Yes, we got to that earlier in the show. Will Corey Roper be back? Yes. Yes, he will. He'll be back at Daytona. I believe CarQuest is still sponsoring the team. But either way, Corey will be back at Daytona. Timmy, obviously, yes, will still be with MBM. He's doing the Daytona 500. Any more questions in the chat? I believe MBM, don't know all of MBM's plans so far for 2021, but definitely I think looking at maybe 2 to 3 still full-time cars. Sorry, guys, my nose itched there. Yes, for people who didn't know, yeah, Timmy Hill did expand his truck team to 2 full-time trucks. Besides Sammy, who is my favorite? Ooh, I would definitely say Daniel Dye. Daniel Dye. I love the number 43, obviously, but yeah, I think Daniel Dye would definitely be my favorite for the championship. Now, that has not been confirmed yet that Heseberg Racing will be running the 500 with Jacques Villeneuve. That has not been confirmed yet, but they are going to be at the Daytona Test this Tuesday. Now, does that kind of mean they will? Yes, but I think they want to make a big formal announcement. Kind of ironic, as 13 years ago, it'll be 14 years since Jacques Villeneuve last attempted the Daytona 500, ironically in the same number with Bill Davis Racing, but he didn't make the race. But man, if that's the case, who would have predicted in 2022 that Jacques Villeneuve would run the Daytona 500? Anyone? Me neither. Will we get a 40th entrant for the 500? Yes. I don't think NASCAR would want their most prestigious race to have only 39. NASCAR will make sure that we will have 40 cars. Yep. I firmly believe that NASCAR will make sure that one of their entries, that they will have 40 entries. He's going to crash? Nah, I don't think he will. I mean, Jacques crashed a lot. Yes, he did. But I think that he'll do pretty good in this car. He was pretty fast at the Charlotte Roval test. I mean, Jacques may be in his 50s, but I don't think he's really lost a step. Nah, Sir Welkstein, NASCAR doesn't do start and park anymore. NASCAR, you cannot start and park in the Cup Series. If you have that damn charter, you are running the whole race. You are there to race. You cannot start and park in the Cup Series anymore. And while we did see a couple of start and parks in 2021 in Xfinity, they don't really – start and parking is kind of frowned upon now. If you're there to race, you're there to race. I think that's kind of how the landscape is now. Start and parking is not welcome anymore because, it really was. It was a cash scam. That's what it was. If we got any more news in the chat to go over, obviously, like I said, the 36 charters plus the 62, the 66, and then the 27. Would we see a third entry? Gaunt, I have not heard. I mean, I haven't heard the news about Gaunt having a next-gen chassis. Supposedly, the 44 team, the NY Racing team, has a next-gen car. The 44 team has a next-gen car. Does anyone believe that? Not really. Do I believe that? No. But do I hope they show up and prove everyone wrong? Yeah, damn right I do. To get the 40 cars. But like I said, NASCAR will make sure we get to 40 cars. I firmly believe that. I don't see for 1 second why we wouldn't have a full field for the most prestigious race of the NASCAR season. That's not the championship finale race. My favorite driver of the underdog, my favorite underdog driver of all time. That is, I think, that is a good one, man. If you want to define an underdog, and I've been really high on this guy for a long time, I agree that J.J. Yaley never got a fair shot. I'm probably one of the last, just like my buddy Isaac Jacko's one of the last Scott Wimmer fans. I firmly believe that J.J. Yaley's one of my all-time favorite underdogs because I don't believe he got a fair shot at Gibbs. I think he was rushed too soon. But yeah, I would think J.J. is one of my all-time favorite underdogs because he was rushed, he was taken up too quickly. And what he's done with Rick Ware Racing and a lot of these lower budget teams in the lower part of his career has really shown JJ still got it. And he's 45 years old. I firmly believe that JJ got rushed. He got robbed. Yeah, he's remembered for that incident with Mark Martin at Charlotte, but come on. Everyone makes mistakes, even if it's a really stupid mistake like that was. But JJ, for me, that's one of my all-time favorite underdogs because he can still get the job done. And I wish JJ could get a shot at a competitive car because we saw him drive that 23-hour motorsports car at Dover, 14th. Very good run for that car. We seen him drive for SS Greenlight Racing. Runs top 15, top 10 in that equipment. It just sucks to see JJ. He was rushed. But that's just my opinion. I'm a big JJ Yaley fan, even though no one really cares about him anymore. As for the Roger Carter situation, I'm also seeing in the chat, supposedly with Mike Offerano. That's another case. I'll believe it when I see it. We all know the stories about Roger Carter. Hell, I got a buddy who used to work for Roger Carter, and the stories that he has told me, I can't repeat that on camera. I'm not going to repeat that on camera either. But wow, some of the stories that he has told me, wow. Yeah, I don't want to get into too much on Roger Carter, but we can actually say this. The 2022 NASCAR season is definitely going to be one to remember, I think, for a lot of different ways. And while I will be covering backmarker battles in ARCA, I'm definitely going to be there for the backmarkers of Xfinity and Truck, and I'll even Cup. Like I said, my new blog I'll be launching here soon. I would actually also like to announce that our next video on chassis story time, I believe will actually be a Hilton entry, a James Hilton car, or could be a next Wayne Peterson entry, one of those two cars. Our next Start and Park Seasons video, should I release it? No, I'm not going to release it, but it will be out either this weekend or early next week. And obviously, when ARCA Testing comes back, we will do a video on that. And I agree. I definitely agree that NASCAR should start promoting that this season will definitely be one to remember for 2022. And the one topic I've yet to cover from ARCA and NASCAR, the Brandon Brown situation, I don't really want to get into that. I think it's sad, though, that, what's happened to the team really has turned a lot of people against the team, which I think is really sad. And I bet, with everything that's happened, I bet Brandon Brown wishes that race did go back to green and they had completed those last 8 laps. I mean, really, who would have thought that one of the greatest moments of that guy's career turned out to be one of the worst? But that, again, I don't want to get into that, but that's my whole opinion on that. Obviously, go read the stories, go read Chris, all that, those guys for that information. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all from me tonight. Thank you guys for joining me, going over all these fun ARCA topics, going over all these fun NASCAR topics. Thank you so much for having fun with me in the chat. You guys are the best. I can't wait for next week's show. Go check out, one more shout out, but go check out last night's interview with Mason Maggio. And we'll catch y'all guys next week. And you guys have a good night. So long, guys.